Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Admiral, for being here. And certainly a welcome to your family. It's good that they were able to be with us today. Your nomination comes at a pivotal point for our Navy. The National Defense Strategy rightly identifies China as our pacing threat, as the chair just said. But as China grows its fleet to historic levels, our naval forces continue to shrink and our readiness levels decline. As the chairman just said, when you add the numbers up, it amounts to our fleet going in the wrong direction. A recent memo from the Office of Naval Intelligence suggests that China's shipbuilding capacity is more than 230 times larger than our own. I can hardly believe I'm speaking these words, 230 times larger in shipbuilding capacity. These are not comforting thoughts when we consider the growing number of general and flag officers who warn that China could be capable of invading Taiwan in the next 2 to 4 years. While China builds its maritime strength, American command of the seas is increasingly at risk, and you and I have discussed this in our private meeting. So far, we have not made progress toward the statutory goal of 355 ships that I proposed and that was signed into law 6 years ago. Of course, we now know that we're being told by the experts in our Department of Defense, both civilian and flag officers, that that number is, frankly, more than 355 ships. Additionally, surface ship maintenance delays and cost overruns are so routine that they're factored into our planning timetables. There are even some ships like the USS Vicksburg that have been in repair and modernization for 7 years, as if the Navy never really means to get the Vicksburg back in action. Chairman Reed is exactly right about the competing demands that we face. I particularly am pleased that he mentioned attack submarines and the need for littoral combat ships. The story of our attack submarines is this. A recent press report revealed that over one-third of the Navy's attack submarines are unavailable as they enter repair cycles. That's a third of our attack submarines. We should be producing somewhere between 2.3 and 2.5 attack submarines a year to fulfill our own requirements as we implement AUKUS. Instead, we're down to building 1.2 attack submarines per year as compared to the required 2.3 to 2.5. And the path back toward 2 per year is based on hopes and wishes. The crisis is nothing short of historic, as we are unprepared for a strategic surprise from China. As our Pacific fleet, we are as unprepared as our fleet was for the Japanese attack on the eve of Pearl Harbor in 1941. We need to act. And let me say this, Admiral, I cherish our Constitution and our longstanding principle that goes back to George Washington. The uniformed military, which the chairman and I were both members of, are answerable to the civilian elected leadership of this country, and that's as it should be. It's one of the shining examples. But also the Constitution gives the power of the purse to the Congress, and we sit here under the Constitution able to make the decisions about purchasing power. The power of the purse does not rest in the Office of Management and Budget in the White House. And so there's a competing interest there, and I take this opportunity of your hearing today to remind my colleagues also that it is we who have the responsibility to find you the money you need to get you the Navy that will protect us and keep us at peace. Admiral Franchetti, you served as Vice Chief of Naval Operations and as Commander of the Sixth Fleet. I think your experiences make you deeply qualified and deeply familiar with the problems our Navy faces. You also know how damaging delays are. So in addition to the questions that the chair mentioned, I'd appreciate your thoughts today on a way forward, especially for our submarines. As we move into the AUKUS agreement, as well as your commitment to work with this committee on the vital issue of ship maintenance, our second challenge the Navy faces is fielding new technical solutions at what former Secretary of Defense Mattis called the speed of relevance. In other words, within a time window, speedily enough that it keeps us ahead of our adversaries, the speed of relevance. Industry and naval research have made major breakthroughs in unmanned warfare, additive manufacturing, and maritime mines in only the past few years. If we have any hope of shoring up our eroding deterrence in the Western Pacific, it will take the rapid integration of these capabilities at scale in the next 2 years or so. So, again, Admiral Franchetti, I'd like to hear from you about how the Navy plans to achieve this integration at the speed of relevance. The Navy has always been our first line of defense, keeping the peace by deterring war and protecting the national interest. This goes as far back as our founding. Admiral Franchetti, I know that you agree with these sentiments, and I'm hopeful they'll keep them in mind as you stand for this important position. I look forward to your testimony and hearing more about your vision for our Navy's future. Your tenure can be a turning point in our national defense, and I hope it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Wicker. Admiral, your remarks, please.